Welcome back to the channel. Today we're breaking down one of the easiest and most useful decision-making tools in C++, the switch statement. If you're brand new to programming, don't worry. I'll explain every line, what it means, why it exists, and how the computer reads it. So let's jump straight into it. Before we even continue, let's discuss a few things, right? So here you're going to declare an integer option, right? You declare an integer option and then we prompt the user to choose a value or enter an item between 1 and 50. Like, let's think of this like a menu. I want you to think of your switch statement as a menu instead of using multiple if statements. The switch lets us test a variable against many possible values in a clean, organized way. Imagine if we did this with if statements, we would have if 1, then this is the output. If 2, then this is the output. It would go on for like 50 items. And then here, with our cases, we just have a standardized way of doing it. So if our option is 1, we display case 1, or we execute case 1. If our option is 2, we execute case 2, right? So the case itself, the case is the value of the option. Because we're checking options, the code will run below it, right? So each case has a value. So case 1 is option 1. Case 2 is option equal to 2, and so forth, right? And then each case has a break statement. Now, this is important because the break statement tells the switch, stop here, don't continue into the next case. Without the break, the program would continue into case 2 and case 3 and so on, even if they don't match. And then we have our default statement. I would think of our default statement as basically like the else of our switch. So if none of the cases match the user's input, the program goes to the default block. So if the user types something like 5 or 99, let's say we had 50 menu items and the user types 99, our default is what will be executed. So now we're back in VS Code, right? I want to do some things before I show you what's happening. Okay, let's get rid of this one as well. Let's get rid of this one as well. Let's do Control Shift P. Let's get rid of that as well. Okay, good. We're in the right place right now. So here we have a simple program. We have a menu, 3 items on the menu. You enter your menu item. That gets stored in the option variable, right? And then our switch checks. Our switch will check the value of that option, right? And then a case will be displayed depending on the option. Not too complicated, you know what I'm saying? So now I'm gonna do main.exe. I'm gonna choose I'm gonna choose menu item 1, right? I choose menu item 1. I see that uh, I'm getting a proper response, right? So my C outline is executed and then I break out of that case, right? Now what happens if I were to do menu item 2, right? Now all of our cases, including our default, is being displayed. And that is why the break statement is important. If I were to put a break here at case 3, right? If I put a break at case 3 and the same thing again, I'm going to clear this. Let's do main.exe, right? I choose case 2. What will happen here is because case 2 doesn't have a break statement, we'll move on to the next case, right? And then that case has a break statement. So we'll break out of our switch and not execute our default statement. So let me show you, right? I entered number 2, execute. So now steak is a great choice, right? Salad, the healthy choice. And then we have the last one, that item is not on the menu. So these kinds of things are important, and it's important that you understand these kinds of small things, right? Because you'll find yourself in companies and thinking, no company will be using a switch statement. Don't fool yourself. They can be used in a variety of things, you know what I'm saying? Just to think of a few things, I can think of game engines using switch statements, robotics, embedded systems, UI frameworks, even network applications, you see. So let's check now if our program is actually working, right? Let's see if the behavior we get from the switch statement is the behavior that we actually looking for. So let's do 1, right? So we successfully broke out of our switch. Let's do the same thing for option 2. Let's do the same thing for option 2, right? Let's do option 2. Great choice. Let's do option 3. And then finally, let's check if our default statement is working. Let me clear this. Let's do main. init.exe, right? Let's check for, right? We don't have case for. Our default statement is working. So small things like switch statements do eventually get. Switch is very common in embedded systems and robotics. It's common in game development, and it is used in large enterprises, like for protocol, message types, state machines, error codes, event handlers. You know, no, it's not used much for normal business logic. I mean, most modern C++ in companies prefer polymorphism, strategy patterns, lambdas, lookup tables. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, you're gonna find yourself eventually needing to use something like this. Now imagine you forgot the switch statement and you forgot how important default uh, the default statement is in the switch, right? So now you find yourself receiving an unknown event and it goes unhandled because you don't have your default statement there, and this breaks your logic. With default you can safely, for example, catch an unknown packet type. You can uh it, it can be used for compatibility reasons as well. Like, let's say you have a client sending a new event type, right, and this client is on version 3 of some software, and then this event type is something as simple as a user typing, right? And now your server that is running on the version 2 of the software has no idea what that event is. And that is why small things like this is important. Next time, I want to do a separate video on for loops, nested for loops, do while loops, and while loops as well. Okay, so that's it for today.